You're not going to believe this. NOAA has contacted the North American Power Grid and FEMA, warning of a possible severe geomagnetic storm taking place Thursday or Friday. That's tomorrow. I'm recording this at 11 o'clock on Wednesday night. That's tomorrow or Friday. I'm meteorologist Todd Gross. Let's talk about what it means for you in terms of not only the power grid, but the potential for a major aurora borealis. Now, just looking at that coronagraph, it looked like it was moving fast, but this fast? They're expecting it to move in at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. 11 a.m. And that would be Thursday, okay? Right here as a G3 and then becoming a G4 geomagnetic storm by evening. But 8.33 K index, that infers that it's almost a G5 geomagnetic storm. No wonder they're contacting the media, and that lasts through the night and then peters down slowly on Friday. Now, I'm not sure it's really going to be here that quick, but one way or another, for aurora hunters, that is fantastic news for Thursday night and possibly Friday night it will last into, but especially Thursday night if that really holds true. That means that you could potentially see the aurora borealis like I took this picture 2 nights ago, but instead of being in Vermont, you could be maybe as far south as Arizona, Texas, or even northern Florida, where you'll be able to finally get a break from some of this crazy weather you've had and watch something incredible. I did just say that. It left my mouth. I said northern Florida. It may be that far south. So what would it look like if we had a G5 geomagnetic storm? First of all, they said they're not going to be able to give us the full warning until this time a half hour ahead of time. Now, I always talk about the auroral oval. Now, that can be found on the left-hand side of spaceweather.com, or if you go to the NOAA website directly, SWPC. Here, let's look for it. All right, here it is, swpc.noaa.gov. If you scroll down just a little bit, you get several things. You could watch the coronal mass ejections. You could watch these things pop off over here. But this, for aurora hunters, is fantastic. It's the auroral oval. Right now, I'm recording this Wednesday night, and the oval is not quite touching the United States. Once it does touch the United States, then even a couple of hundred miles farther south, you could look for the aurora by looking north. If this drops down into the United States, well, guess what? It means that the spacecraft 1 million miles from Earth has detected that there should be an aurora. It's starting to detect the information. So it actually is predictive by usually an hour, but because this is moving so fast, they're saying we're only going to get a half hour's notice. So we'll see the auroral oval grow all of a sudden during the day Thursday, and when you see this grow, then you know something is up, and it also will give you an idea of whether or not you'll be able to see the aurora. So back to the whole power grid situation. So if there's going to be trouble with power grids, like there have been in years past, where it affects isolated power, like once most of eastern Canada went down because of one of these geomagnetic storms. But usually it's isolated power problems. But if it's going to happen, we'll have a half hour notice. That's when they're going to issue the warning during the day Thursday, and they're preparing us to look for that warning. So New York City, as an example, has put out an alert to residents of New York to get ready for the possibility of power grid problems. Other problems that happen when you have a geomagnetic storm include the possibility of the satellites losing communication with each other, with us. Sometimes the satellites have to reposition themselves because they get kind of pushed down towards Earth. All these things are possible, but not a certainty because it depends on how the geomagnetic storm actually takes place. When the coronal mass ejection hits Earth and the geomagnetic storm commences, if the polarity doesn't link up properly, if it doesn't hook in correctly with a negative and a positive sort of thing going on, then it's usually not that strong. Other problems that can happen. Some folks say that they can feel when this happens. And I've read the studies, I've read some of the studies that say there can be heart problems when there's a geomagnetic storm. I haven't seen anything convincing or heard anything convincing that it affects people's moods, that it affects their physiology, but I remain open-minded on that. If we get a big geomagnetic storm, leave comments and let us know how you are feeling. I'm curious. It's not scientific, obviously, but I'm just curious how you are feeling. All right, I'll try to keep you posted as this unfolds on Thursday. Hopefully, we won't have to wait several days again. This looks like it's a quick one coming in. Unfortunately, it's not on the weekend, but Thursday night, at least the weather should be decent in many places. I'm meteorologist Todd Gross. I'll keep you posted on the coming auroras and geomagnetic storm.